Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss what impact the Tories should be looking for in the polls with their Rwanda plan. Although there have been polls published where the fieldwork took place since the Rwanda bill passed through Parliament, there's been no sign of a boost for the Tories. However, you wouldn't expect to see it in a single poll anyway. People often get excited when there's a shift in the polls. It's a longer term trend you're looking for. But what exactly would the Tories be looking for? Well, they'd need to see movement in the voting attitudes of people they're targeting with this policy. They wouldn't expect to see a drop in support for Labour because Labour have been explicitly against every aspect of this particular policy anyway. There are only two groups of voters that the Tories could reasonably expect to win over with the Rwanda plan: those who are currently undecided about how they will vote, and those who say they will vote Reform UK. Ironically, without the Rwanda plan, there wouldn't be nearly as many Reform UK voters right now anyway. But never mind that now. The latest YouGov poll was carried out this Tuesday and Wednesday, so after the bill was passed, and Sunak explained what happens now. The bill was passed, as far as court action goes, exactly as Sunak insisted, so he can't blame anyone for its failure to stop the boats now. In this latest poll, the Conservatives actually lost a bit of vote share, so did Reform UK, and Labour and the Lib Dems gained. But it was only a point up or down for each, so nothing to read into that. Just the natural fluctuation of polling, which is actually remaining fairly static. Plug the results into an MRP calculator and it gives the Tories just 37 seats. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. So they need a really noticeable poll bounce from this. In truth, it won't be possible to say this Rwanda plan has done anything to the polls for probably about a month. If indeed it does anything, which I suspect it won't. The figures the Conservatives will need to pay attention to are the 23% of 2019 Conservative voters who say they don't know how they'll vote, and the 18% of 2019 Conservative voters who say they will now vote Reform UK. Remember that there were also those who voted for the Brexit Party in some parts of the country in 2019 who you think might in theory be targeted by this policy. But if they wouldn't vote for the Conservatives when they were promising to Brexit and being led by Boris Johnson, I'm not sure many would under the current circumstances. If in a month's time we look at these same polls and the Conservatives have not converted a significant number of don't knows or Reform voters to themselves, then it will be fair to say that the Rwanda safety bill won't have done anything in itself. So what then? Well, it doesn't strictly mean that their Rwanda plan has failed. It will just potentially mean that these voters are waiting for concrete results. Now, there will be a few practical outcomes which these voters may be looking to. The first, I suppose, would be evidence that the courts are going to be blocked. I'm not sure that that's going to have much play. So realistically, you'd be looking at maybe flights of asylum seekers actually going to Rwanda. That would be concrete evidence. Another one would be a significant reduction in small boat crossings, because that is supposed to be the whole point of the policy. Now, as not even the Home Office believes there will be any reduction in small boat crossings as a result of the Rwanda plan, the Tories will need to hope that these voters take flights to Rwanda as evidence enough that the plan is going to work if they give it more time. But that would only work if the election takes place after flights have taken off, but before those voters expect to see the difference in channel crossing numbers. It's hard to see how this happens if the election is in autumn after a summer of record channel crossings being reported. Also, if there is no Rwanda bounce in the polls evident by the end of May, because those voters want concrete evidence of the plan's viability, then how many planes would need to take off? Or what if it's not about planes? What if these voters want to focus on the numbers of refugees rather than the number of planes? Surely Reform UK, who will of course not want to lose their voters back to the Conservatives, just need to point out that the number being sent to Rwanda is a lot lower than those continuing to arrive by small boat. So there's a net increase in what they will call illegal immigrants coming into the country. Because it's worth bearing in mind, the Conservatives do not get to dictate the narrative on this one. The way I see it is this: If the Tories are going to get any polling boost from the Rwanda plan, it essentially has to be based on blind faith. There is no chance of it actually cutting back channel crossings to the point where people would believe they will stop altogether in the foreseeable future. And remember that Reform UK are promising to stop them altogether very quickly. They don't have a realistic plan for it, but they claim that they are going to stop them quickly. Now, to counter it, the Tories have to show that their way will achieve the same outcome. So even if flights do take off and we end up with half a dozen going to Rwanda over summer, which I don't think is likely, there will still be a larger backlog of asylum seekers at the end of that summer than there will have been when the first flight took off. Now, maybe the Tories will, just because they've passed this bill, get some anti-asylum voters on board. Maybe they will show progress in the polls by the end of next month. I don't think they will, but we can keep an open mind because it's just a few weeks to find out. If there's no evidence of movement in the polls in the next 4 weeks, it's clear that there won't be until those voters see hard evidence of progress. I don't think that tangible progress will ever be evident. It might be different if the Tories were able to control the media narrative as they often do. But on this, I don't think they can. Reform UK get lots of coverage in the mainstream media, and they will defend their polling by, as I say, simply pointing out that, oh yeah, the flights are going, but the number of illegal immigrants coming to the country is still going up. So your flights aren't working, are they? Not just that numbers aren't going down quickly enough, but not at all. Now, at this point, surely the Rwanda plan is a complete dead duck for the Tories. As I see it, they either get their polling bounce just from this bill passing, or they almost certainly don't get it at all. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.